Hello, welcome, good evening, everyone. You're watching Money Hour with Lakshmi. Today I'm here, Priya Agrawal, and joining in with me today we have Chanchal Saxena from Team Lakshmi. And if you're joining in today for the first time, let me tell you about Lakshmi. Lakshmi is India's first financial platform exclusively for women. And today in this session, we're going to talking all about asset allocation. What asset allocation means, what is its importance, how should one use the different strategies of asset allocation, and which strategy is best for the one. And stay tuned till the end. We have Lakshmi pro tip for you.
So I'll just continue what Priya was saying. So Priya said that we are here to talk all about asset allocation. We are here to discuss everything you need to know before finalizing your strategy. It can be in terms of age, it can be in terms of your goals, and there are a lot of things that we are actually blind to about when it comes to asset allocation, and we are going to highlight each and everything for you. So, well, we have Priya back. So why don't you go ahead, Priya?
Yeah. So as I was saying, today's session is all about asset allocation. So you must have heard about asset allocation or this term asset allocation from various people, but let me break it down for you like what it means. So let's first understand what is asset. So asset is basically anything which provides you value in terms like to the investor. You invest certain money or you put something money. You put some of your money into a particular thing, and that reaps value to you in terms of money and returns. So, and when we talk about allocation means giving proportions to different things on a certain level. So when we combine these two terms, asset allocation, it gives us a brief introduction about how we should, plan our finances. So as we see that there are different asset classes, and when we give different proportions to asset classes, it means asset allocation, basically spreading your money across different financial vehicles. So when we talk about asset classes are basically different assets which are available. For example, we have equity, debt, real estate, gold, etc. So as per our risk profile, an investor chooses which one to put their investments into, and then we plan our strategies accordingly. So Chanchal, I'd like to ask you a question. Like as we have explained what asset allocation mean, would you like to brief our users or our viewers basically how important is it to maintain that asset allocation? And can you explain us with an example?
Sure, I would love to. In fact, I think it's equally important to understand what asset allocation is used for as it is to understand what asset allocation is. Now, before I go to the importance, I would just like to summarize whatever you said for our users with the help of an example, which I think a lot of us can resonate to, and that is setting up a fitness regime. And I just hope, like with the end of this session, people are encouraged not only to set an asset allocation strategy for themselves but get back to their fitness regimes, because trust me, a lot of us are struggling with it. We all want to get fit, but we are just lazy during this pandemic. So, talking about asset allocation, as Priya brilliantly explained it to us what it is, we need to understand that there are certain factors that you need to consider while setting up your strategy, and why is it important. So, when you talk about setting up a fitness regime, right? Similarly, these steps follow, and I think that's the best way we can understand it. So, for example, first you should be aware of the assets that are available in the market. Now, when I say this, that means you should be aware of equity, debt, real estate, gold, and other instruments to ensure that you have the knowledge before you start planning your strategy, right? So, for example, if you're only aware of gold and equity, you will only make your portfolio basis on these two assets. But what you need to do is be aware so that you can make an informed decision. Similarly, when it comes to setting up a fitness regime, you need to be aware of the different activities that you can choose to set up your regime. If you're only aware about weightlifting or yoga, you will actually miss out on these opportunities like Pilates, functional cardio, and other exercises. Talking about that, you have to also have a vision, that where do you want to reach, what is the gap that you want to bridge for yourself. Now that is important so that you can make your plan accordingly, and it can also be seen while setting up your fitness goals. Because if today you have a goal of losing your weight or gaining your weight or aiming for a certain type of a body, then it's very important to select that kind of a regime for yourself. For example, if you want to get bulky and you want to get muscles and you say that no, I'll just do yoga, it won't get you that. And if you want to have a lean and a composed body and you say that let me go and lift some weights, it's not going to suit your body type, right? So it's a closed loop. Once you evaluate one, the other one is automatically being taken care of. Then next, age is not just a number. It is a very important aspect that you need to consider while setting your strategy, and that is because as per your age, your risk tolerance can be measured, your goals can be measured, your appetite in terms of risk, your time horizon, and everything can be taken care of. And this is same when it comes to setting up your fitness goals, right? Like if you are young, you can take up more at leisure activities, but if you are an elderly, you can definitely, challenge is something we should all take up, but you need to then consider your health and everything in place, right? You can't just have weak bones and go ahead and start lifting 100 pounds of dumbbells. It won't make sense to anyone. And then last but not the least, you should estimate your time horizon, and it is important so that you set deadlines for yourself. You know that in certain period you need to achieve something. It could be either goal based or age wise. And similarly it comes to your fitness regimes too, right? You can't just end up eating brown rice and salads for the rest of your life. You need to set deadlines. And the difference here comes when we talk about setting up a regime or asset allocation is, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to build your strategy, or you're trying to maintain your strategy? So that is again where we try to monitor our strategies. We try to revisit our plans, rejig it to support our plans and everything. So this is the basic the roadmap, how you chart out your asset allocation strategies. And now answering your question, Priya, that what is the importance of the same? Well, there are a lot of benefits. Okay, like if I have to sit and count, I can just go on and on and on, but I would like highlight the few benefits that we get from asset allocation. So one, it is reduces your risk bracket. So we all are aware of the saying that don't put all your eggs in one basket. So we need to diversify your portfolio, and I think we saw this during this pandemic also, where people who had invested majorly in stock market or anything which was market related, they saw a huge dump in their prices. Why? Because suddenly there was a market crisis. Although the key was to stay invested, but there was a little fear and a panic that was created, right, because of that downfall. So to avoid that panic, we should always diversify. Now talking about that, you since you're diversifying, you're also benefiting in terms of the returns you get, because your returns get optimized. If something is in loss, the other is in profit, so it averages out your losses. So that is one benefit. This actually then also take care of your market timings. So we get a lot of question, and Priya, I think you can vouch on this for me, that people ask, gold prices are really high, should I invest in it now? Or they say the markets are really bullish right now, should we wait for it to get bearish? So these things get taken care of. If you know that this is the percent of allocation you need to put in gold, you need to put in equity, you need to put in debt, you end up ignoring the market timings and you just invest as per your plan. So that is one thing. Then talking about it, it actually attunes you to stay true to your financial goals. You know that this is your goal and you stick to it. You don't get carried away or influenced by other strategies. Then it is also an aid to tax planning. So we can't forget that it's a very important aspect, because once you set a portfolio, your aim is to grow money, and with higher amount you attract higher taxes. So tax planning is something you need to take care of too. Now, I think I have taken a lot of time here. So, Priya, as we talked about the two main strategies and coming to the main topic of today's session, should asset allocation be done in terms of age or with respect to your goals? So, why don't you tell our users that when we talk about age, how do we go about it? What are the pros and cons, and how should we actually aim at doing the strategy right?
Okay. So I'd like to answer the question. So whenever we see an asset allocation strategy, the basic thumb rule says that whatever your age is, just subtract it from a common number, which is 100. So every time subtract that, supposedly I am age 25. Okay, so I'll subtract that 25 from 100, and whatever the amount that I get, the number which is I receive, that will be the amount which I'll invest into equity. And the age, the like my age, the amount whatever is there will be invested into debt. So
Right.
this rule of thumb, when we're talking about asset allocation as per age, it basically gives you a brief idea about how an asset, like your money, can be divided into two asset classes. Just an overview of into equity and debt. So when I'm a young investor, I'll be having a more risk-taking ability, a longer time horizon to invest and to grow my money. So I'll be able to take more risk, and hence I'll invest more money into an equity segment and less into debt. As we see, like equity instruments perform well in long term, and you can vouch me for that, Chanchal. Like when we are saying equity investments, it is usually suggested for a longer term horizon. And when we say debt instruments, these are basically for the conservative investors, and for investors who are like a low risk profile based and who wants a steady income or a fixed rate of returns on their investments. So these allocations are just an idea, just give you an idea of to how you can allocate your money, but ultimately it depends upon how you want to manage your money, your risk taking ability, and basically all about your investor profile. Just giving you another example. So when we talk about a person who is age supposedly 50, so that person is like near to retirement, and they are on the verge of, they are not usually a more risk taker kind of a person. So one needs to see that if there are, like supposedly we use this formula like 100 minus 50, so this 50% component can go into equity and 50% can go into debt. So this way the portfolio gets secured and the returns also gets managed, and we get an averaged out returns. And as Chanchal already mentioned, like when we see we do portfolio like asset allocation, we get the benefit of diversification as well. So there, into different asset classes, there are different instruments available. For like equity, we have equity mutual funds, debt like ETFs, etc., shares and stocks, etc. So we need to diversify in that instrument as well to get the benefits. So I think I've taken enough time, but now I'll ask Chantal to explain like a different strategy of asset allocation or as per goals. So how will that work? Would you like
Great.
to explain?
Sure, I would love to. And thank you, Priya. I think you explained it very easily. And anybody who's new, you can understand how asset allocation as per age works. And when I discuss asset allocation as per goals, you'll have a clearer view to compare and decide which one is the best for you. And we'll also talk about it, that which strategy should you use as an individual investor. But before going to that, let's first talk about asset allocation as per goals. Now, firstly, what is a goal that you must ask, right? So, a goal can be a very vague goal that I can say I want to. One goal that we all have is I want to get rich. But keeping that aside, I think we need to take more realistic goals that we have right now. So somebody might have a goal like buying my first car, buying my first house, planning my own wedding, or planning or upscaling my skills by enrolling into some kind of a course or further education. A lot of goals are there. Now, to this goal, when you add an amount and a time frame, that is when it becomes a financial goal. For example, if I say I want to pursue my further education in the next 3 years and I would require 20 lakh for my MBA, in that, now this truly becomes a financial goal for me. Now, these goals can be of various types, and in financial terms, we have three major types of goals. One is an ultra short term goal, a short term goal, and a long term goal. An ultra short term goal is for a period of up to 1 year, a short term is from a period of 1 year to 3 years, and a long term goal is from a period above 3 years. Now, these long term goals can also be further bifurcated into 3 to 7 years, 7 to 10 years, 10 to more years, as per your personal customization basis. But then, uh, in an overview, this is how you generally make these three buckets. So now the question remains that how does my goal affect my selection of asset? So I'll give you a very simple example here. If so, we'll take two examples to actually compare this. So one example is paying your tuition fee every month. Okay, so I'm like in my 20s. I have taken up this subject economics that I don't understand at all, and I am saying, "Oh God, Priya, please help me understand." So she says, "You know what, Chanchal, come to me. I'll teach you economics," and I'll be like, "Thank you, you are a savior for me." And she tells me that don't be so flattered. I'll charge you a 5,000 buck every month because I also don't have so much time to give. So I say, okay, like 5,000 is something I'll manage out of my investments and pay you. So now my goal is to pay Priya 5K every month. So my goal is something which needs to be a fixed amount, right? It's a fixed 5K. I can't go to her and negotiate that, hey Priya, let me just pay you 2K this month, or Priya, let me just pay you 3K. We are friends, yeah, we can do this much. It won't work that way. So it's a fixed goal that you have, and you have a fixed deadline for yourself. In this case, if you decide to invest your money in an ELSS, which comes with a 3 year lock in, though you have money, you are poor at that moment. You don't have money to pay. So this is one way how it affects. Similarly, if you have a very big goal that, I wish that today I have 10K in my hand and I want to double it in the next couple of years. Now I just have an amount. I have a target that I want to double it, but I don't have a fixed time frame. It could be the next 3 years, next 5 years, next 7 years, any years. My aim is just to double that amount. So here, if I invest in an instrument uh, you know, which will give me a 2% return every year, it won't make sense. I'd rather invest it in something which might be a little risky, but the returns are good. And I can afford to take that risk because I don't have any fixed goal to cater to right now. So this is how your goals can actually affect your, selection of assets. So now you would be asking that, Chanchal, okay, we understand this is how it happens, but how do you make your strategy in terms of your goals? So how your strategy goes is, first you have ultra short term goals, right? So in this case, your allocation should be amongst majorly in debt instruments, which are highly which can be highly liquid and also protects your capital against volatility. And you can have some amount of investments in very very liquid instruments like a good bank account, which gives you comparatively higher rate of interest. Second comes your short term goals. Here you can majorly invest in debt, and a little portion you can invest in equity to just get the exposure and the benefit of the equity segment. And when you talk about the long term goal, you can majorly invest in equity. Now, here it doesn't really matter if you're a conservative investor or an aggressive investor, because the time is going to safeguard your capital. It won't, seize the risk, but it will definitely minimize the risk for you. And then you can also put some amount in debt to ensure that it's not completely, risky, and you're completely not out in the ground waiting for a lightning to struck your head. So this way you can actually plan it out. Talking about the other asset classes, gold should be ideally your 10 to 15% of your portfolio value, and that is indifferent of what age you are or what goal you have. That is something that should be there. And other investment options like real estate or others can be very much preferential. If you are attracted towards investments in real estates or other instruments, you can do so, or you can just ignore. Because a lot of us, and especially in Indian culture, we have seen that we get a lot of inherited property, right? So if someone already has like 3 4 plots in their name and you wish to exploit the other instruments that are available for investment, you might not want to invest majorly in real estate, or might not at all want to invest in it. So accordingly, you can plan it out for yourself, and like decide if that's the right thing you want to do or not. Now, I think talking about the goals and talking about the age, now would be the right time, Priya, for us to guide our investors and guide our viewers that how does see, now we know that asset allocation can be customized. It can be based on your needs. There's no exhaustive amounts that this is all you have to do, or you have to swear by these numbers. It can be customized. right? So why don't you tell our investors and our viewers how different type of investment portfolios can affect our asset allocation strategies?
Okay. That's a great question. And I think a lot of people have these questions in mind, like what strategy should they adopt while allocating their assets. So I'll give you like a brief three model portfolios, which suggest a category of investors which everyone can relate to. Okay, so basically there are three types of investors. So firstly, we see a conservative investor. Second can be a moderate risk-taking investor, and third can be an aggressive investor. So accordingly, their portfolios are also categorized in a similar way. So we have a conservative portfolio, and when we talk about it, it mentions usually a person who is risk averse, who is taking risk but on a very low level, and they want to secure their portfolio, and the major goal is to protect their capital. So the major investments that they have can go into a fixed income or a debt instrument, and very less into equity instruments. So when we see, these portfolios are usually preferred by the persons who are near to the age of retirement or have retired already, or the person who is generally a risk averse person. So when the person has retired, they need a regular income, stable income, and they don't want to risk their capital, and they want to protect whatever wealth they have, and whatever they have earned, their hard earned money needs to be protected right after the retirement, because they need to have fun, they need to plan their trips and everything, so their money needs to be secure. The next portfolio which comes here is the moderate risk taking portfolio. So this portfolio is usually like a 50-50 kind of a thing. So 50% may go into equity and 50% can go into debt. So the person is taking some risk while maintaining that, a sense of security in their portfolio. So they generate usually a decent returns while managing the risks, and this is suitable for a middle-aged investor or an investor who wants to grow their money as well as have that feeling of security amongst themselves. And thirdly, we have is the aggressive portfolio, a person who wants to take risk, and with we say that with low risk comes lower return, and with high risk there's a possibility of higher return. So one usually, some of the people who have, like the young age investors, have that risk taking ability and usually prefer taking some risk to grow their money. So here we see, like the majorly investment into like 70 to 80% of their money might be invested into equity or debt, equity instruments, and the remaining can be invested into a debt instruments. So these are like the model portfolios, and one can obviously customize as per their needs and goals, and obviously the risk appetite which we already mentioned. So after this, like Chanchal, I'd like you to answer, like, what, since we have discussed these two strategies, like asset allocation as per age and as per goals. So how should one choose between these two? What should be the parameters, and on the basis of which one can decide?
I would answer that question only on one condition. If you tell me, Priya, what kind of an investor are you? Are you conservative, moderate, or aggressive?
So I am an aggressive investor, since I am a young investor and I have that long period of investments. So right now I am in that state that I can take some risk and grow my money. What about you? I'd like to know your viewpoint.
So I think I would come under a moderate to aggressive investor. Again, the baseline remains the same for us, that we are young and we can take that kind of a risk. But then
Yeah.
I also do believe that unless you have the knowledge of everything around you, you should not just put your foot ahead and just say that
Yeah.
like throw anything that comes my way.
That's
So I am still learning. So until I like think that I'm confident enough about all my investment decisions, I would still stay back foot. And this is what we actually advise our Lakshmi investors to, right? That before you get the knowledge of everything, before you're sure that what you're putting your money into, you understand the crux of it. Don't just blindly go out. Don't just blindly invest. And first learn. If you're new to it, if you want to learn how to go about investing in something, join our community, that is the Being Lakshmi community. It's a page that you can, it's a group that you can visit through this page also, and you'll find Priya and myself over there. We'll be there to answer all your money related questions, and that would be a great way for us to even connect and talk more and learn together, right? So coming to your question, Priya, enough of endorsing Lakshmi. Coming to your question, what strategies right for us? So, guys, one thing I would like to highlight here is that when you are planning your investments, not just your asset allocation strategy, but also like any investments that you're doing, the one thing that you need to be aware of is your investor profile. And when we say investor profile, it comprises of three main things: your financial goals, your risk appetite, and your time horizon for either staying invested or letting your money be invested for that period, or for how long you want to keep investing. You know, when we talk about SIPs or installments and everything, so that you also need to be very much aware of while making your investment decisions. So when you identify these things for yourself, that is when you realize that am I investing majorly into my goals, or am I just going with the flow, and as my age as I age, I'm going to start planning and then make my investments? Because a lot of time it happens, and I think it is very common in our generation right now, where we are at this stage where we are about to start our first jobs. We are about to step out, and we have some earnings, but then majority of our utilities are being taken care of by our parents. So in our stage, we usually don't have like goals to focus on because they are being taken care of. So here you just aimlessly invest as you age, right? You think that okay, now I'm young, so I can take a risk and I'd invest in majorly in equity and less in debt. Or if you're a conservative investor, so even at a younger age, you would invest majorly in debt and wait to learn more about it and invest less in equity or something like that. So that is one thing which will help you to identify. But the key here is, and what I really want you guys to be aware of when making this decision is that if you're getting into the asset allocation strategy as by age, be mindful that your time, your goal-based investments are going to get ignored, and vice versa. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this is because if you are currently in your early 20s and you say that I'll invest 80% of my funds in equity at 20 in debt, and you have to pay for this exam that's coming up in the next 6 months, but now you have invested 80% in equity, and it's like just out there. You are not sure if you will be able to make the most out of it in that 6 month or a 7 month period, because the volatility is so high, your capital is fluctuating, you're almost getting a panic attack. So you're in that state of mind right now. And when we talk about goal based investing, your age factor is ignored. And what happens is that now, doesn't matter even if you're in your 50s and you know that you want to buy this car in the next 3 years, and 3 years is a very short term for you to arrange for that kind of a corpus. So you invest a lot in equity, ignoring the fact that at your age you shouldn't be taking that much risk. You are still investing in a lot in equity just to ensure that by the next 3 years, which will be taken care of by the time, you're still taking a lot of risk for your age. So these things don't go hand in hand. It's very calculative. You need to be very mindful of your decisions when you're doing it, when you're taking your decisions and charting out a plan for yourself. But ideally, you should actually analyze your journey and then take this decision. So I think we have laid down all the ground rules for you. We have highlighted all the things you need to be mindful of when taking this decision, and now you would be at a better place to decide it for yourself. And why Priya and I wouldn't come and tell you that hey, invest this way or that way is because investments is a very personal decision. In fact, even Priya and me being of the similar age, her goals and my goals can be very different. Her strategy and my strategy could be very different. And blindly copying someone's strategy might even end up with you getting into a lot of loss. And we don't want that. So please be aware of your decisions. Please be aware of your goals. Please chart out your own plans and then start your investment journey. You can always refer to other plans, you can always refer to other suggestions, but don't just blindly go ahead and copy it, because that won't work for you. And with this, Priya and I wrap up with the monologue, and we would like to, okay. So before taking up any questions, and if you do have questions, please list them down in the comment section. Priya has a couple of surprises for you. Priya, shoot, the platform is yours.
Yeah. So before proceeding, I'd like to, for our viewers, I'd like to know like who all are live watching with us. So do put in the comment section below. Let us know like you're watching us live. Are you like understanding what we told, like explained it to you about asset allocation, and ask all your questions that you have about asset allocation or anything related to finance. We're gonna answer all of them live. But before that, we have a Lakshmi pro tip for you that when we are talking about asset allocation, it's very important to review our financial like the strategies and everything that we do on a regular basis. So these strategies depends basically upon our goals. Like when we are investing for the long term, it's essential like we go through our portfolio, we do the follow-ups on a yearly basis or a 6 months basis if it's a long term goal. And if we are investing for a short term goal, we should rejig our investments, or do a follow up and monitor the portfolio on a monthly or a 3 months basis, so that we know that the performance is up to the mark and we are on the right track to achieve our goals. So this is what you need to like remember. And when you are investing, keep everything in mind, know what you are investing into, know the details about it, and it shouldn't be like you're just blindly investing. Have a goal and direct your investments towards that goal, so at the end of that time period you are happy and you be like in that you have achieved something, so it gives you a sense of accomplishment at that point of time. So let's wrap up this thing. And we have received quite a lot of questions from our viewers as per asset allocation. So I'm going to read out. So first question is from Shikha. She asks, like, do I have to consider my age or goal in order to carry out asset allocation?
So,
So, yeah, Chanti, would you like
yeah,
to answer?
yeah, definitely. I think, Shikha, you have to, consider either your age or your goal to carry out your asset allocation strategy. Because if you have neither of them, you'll actually, you'll be wandering aimlessly. You'll be having a lot of funds. You'll be having a lot of knowledge how to go about investing, but you'll not have a roadmap to follow and plan it out. And sometimes what happens is that if you don't plan things in advance, you end up taking decisions that you instantly regret. And I'll honestly want to share an experience about this with you, because even being a money expert, I have made a mistake, and I think we are all here to learn from it together. I wanted to save some amount for myself for something, and I have been thinking of it for so long that I pay for that, and it was a dream that I wanted to do it for myself. And when I learned about ELSs that time, I was really so fascinated by the concept of ELSs. I thought that wow, I have to invest in ELSs, and I ended up investing that money in ELSs, later to realize that it comes with a lock-in of 3 years. Oh god, that was my instant regret. The moment I pressed invest, I was like, oh no, did I just lock in
What
my
have I
money
done?
for 2 years? And that is when I realized, oh god, you cannot just blindly go and make your investment, because if I did not have anything, it wouldn't have made a lot of difference. But knowing that I had something planned for myself and I did that, that is when I realized that it's really important to shout out your goals. Or if you don't have goals, you're at least doing it in a way that you're considering your age, so that you just don't fall out of your own plan. What do you think, Priya?
No, no, you are absolutely correct. One's investment should always be directed towards their goals. And as I previously mentioned, also, it gives us a sense of accomplishment when we are investing and we achieve our goals. And yeah, we have a couple of people live with us. They are commenting. So, hi, Diksha. Hi, Sai Deepika, Rebecca. Hope you are learning and enjoying the live session. And for others who have joined in right now, let us know and do ask all your questions. We'll be happy to answer them. The next question we have is from Stuti. She asks, like, do I need to have a large corpus to engage into asset allocation? So I'd like to answer this question. So it's not necessary to have a huge amount of money for asset allocation or per se investing also. So we usually see people have this perception now that I need like a huge amount of money to start investing. But as we have seen in the community also, and for the other people that we interact with, we usually tell them that we don't need a huge sum of money to start investing. And also, when in terms of asset allocation, if we see, we can start with small amounts of money, and it usually gives you a benefit of diversification and managing the risk. So it's very important, and the first step is to start investing. So before that also, if you're not saving enough for your money, like saving enough from your money, just start saving, do proper budgeting, and save your money, and then invest as per your goals. And obviously this benefit, like if you're putting money into different asset classes as per your goals and risk appetite, you will get the benefits of like the returns that you want to achieve, and you'll be able to manage the risks as well. So I hope I have answered your questions, Titi. The next question is
And
from
Priya, I would like to add something here that I believe it becomes even more important for you to, have an asset allocation strategy when you have less funds compared to more. Because when you have a lot of money, you can just channelize it anywhere, right? Like you know
yeah,
that if you have a good 1 lakh, you can have 30,000 somewhere, 20,000 somewhere, and 50,000 somewhere, and it will give you equally excellent returns. If your plan is right, and you are eligible to invest in a lot of instruments, like because a lot of instruments have like minimum investment values that you need to stick
yeah,
to. So if you have a large corpus, you don't have to really worry about it. But when you have a lower corpus, first of all, your eligibility is in question if you're eligible to invest here, there, or somewhere. And secondly, you only have that much money to make more money out of it. If you're relying only on your investments. So I think it's important to be even more vigilant when it comes to a lower corpus than a higher corpus, because higher corpus can be taken care of. Even for higher corpuses, we have these after one point you have to have some professional advisor to help you out with it, at least to guide you, to assist you if not properly manage your money. But for a lower purpose, if you're earning 5K, why would you want to pay a professional advisor to manage your 5K who would charge you 5K rather? It makes no sense. So that becomes I think even more important. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Priya, your next question.
yeah. So I'd like to add something to this. So this is why we usually help women evolve in their money journeys at Lakshmi, so that they are capable of taking their own financial decisions and they are independently managing their money. And even if it's not about managing a huge sum of money, they should know what instruments are, how should they invest into it, what are the basic characteristics and everything, so that when a decision is made, it's an informed decision. So the next question is from Krishna. She asked, like, will insurance also be a part of my asset allocation strategy? So would you like to answer it, Chanchu?
Yeah, I think I remember I have answered this similar type of a question almost 8 to 10 times by now. I'm not even kidding. Like, we get this question so much, and I'm really happy that Krishna asked it again, because I believe that the more we address it, the more people become aware of this
Correct.
concept. Guys, investment and insurance are two different drivers of your money. When we talk about investment, the goal is to grow your wealth, to generate income, to to leave some heritage for your dependents or something like that. When we talk about insurance, insurance aims at protecting you and your loved ones and your savings, which is also your loved one, from any medical emergencies or any other untimely, misfortunate deaths. And it is also important to leave some kind of heritage for your family again. But the aim here is so that your family is not burdened by your financial decisions. Whereas in terms of investments, the aim is to leave heritage so that your family can prosper ahead. So insurance is never a part of your investment plan. Whatever portfolio you're going to generate is completely based on your investments. Your insurance should be over and above of that money. In fact, your funds should be first. First you should take care of your insurances, and then whatever you're left with is what you should then plan for your investments. So, you want to add something clear to that if I've missed out?
No, I think you have covered almost all the points, but I'd like to add here, like as you said, that the family shouldn't be burdened of the person's financial liabilities. So this is where one of the five must-have goals that we suggest is term insurance. That if a person has a certain amount of liabilities, it's very important, and if that person is the breadwinner of the family, it's very important for them to have a term insurance, so that even if something happens, their family is secure and safe, and their liabilities are not hampering the financial situation of the family in the later part of their life. So I think that will get it covered, and the investments are usually a different aspect of the financial planning.
Priya, as you mentioned about this whole concept of your families getting, having a goal for yourself or insurance for yourself so that your family cannot be burdened by your liabilities, I would actually like to highlight something here. That those who are not aware, we have a community care initiative that is taken up by Lakshmi, where we are helping all the women out there who have lost their loved ones, who were actually the breadwinner of the family, and now they're struggling to get back on their feet to support their dependents, because they are completely lost in terms of they have their emotional loss, but at the same time they're not sure how to go about their finances, how to strategize their lives ahead, because this was something nobody even imagined, and it's just so unfortunate that it happened. So if you know someone who would really benefit from this community care initiative that we have taken up, please reach out to Lakshmi. You can always volunteer for them, or you can connect us to them. And if you are a registered financial advisor who would like to volunteer to help these women out, you can also reach out to us, so we can always, bridge the gap between the two of you, and we know that we have helped someone here. So do let us know. Do reach out. You can connect with us on our page, on our group. You can personally, connect with Priya or myself, and we would be happy to help. So yeah, Priya, coming back to your questions.
Yeah. So another question we have received is from Susan. She asked, like, how frequently should I revisit my asset allocation strategy? So
Why don't you
this,
answer?
yeah. So this is, I think, pretty much I covered before in the Lakshmi pro tip which we mentioned. So it usually depends upon your goals. If it's a long-term goal, you should revisit your portfolio on a yearly basis or a 6-month basis, and then see whether your investments are performing well or not, because we can't sleep over in our investments over a long term period and not look at it at all, and just expect that they'll grow for like over the 25 years time period. We need to have a follow up with it every 1 year, so that we know that it's performing well. And in terms of if your goal is a short term goal, you need to revisit your investments on the basis of like a 6 months or a 3 months time horizon, which will help you to achieve your goals. So I hope I've answered this question. The next
Priya,
question.
if I was in the comment section right now, I would have asked you that, Priya, what is your strategy of revisiting your goals, and how do you plan your finances?
Okay. So right now, what I don't have any very like an ultra short term or a short term goal. I'm planning something which is like for a 5 years time period. So I try to revisit my portfolio every 8 months or on a yearly basis. So that gives me an overview as to how my investments are performing. And accordingly, I make a decision of whether to rejig my investments, have to change some allocations, or anything like that. So I would like, so coming to this, I'd like to ask you, like, how do you manage your finances?
So
Like,
I
whether
am, yeah, so I am very, finicky when it comes to money management. Like, I always want to be aware. And I know this is something that a lot of people might not be able to keep up with. But I tend to revisit my finances every week. So every week I sit with my bank statements, and I'm like, okay, I have this much now. What to do now? What to do? Like, now do I do something, or I can leave it like that, and leave it alone to grow. So, and I think we have covered this topic in our previous sessions also. That is passive and active management of money. So I am definitely an active manager of my money. And if you guys want to know more about it, or if you guys want us to have a session only on passive versus active management, who should do it, which one is ideal for you, or something, do let us know in the comment section below. Apart from this, if there's any other topic that you really want us to talk about, that you can drop down, and we'd be very happy to take such topics up. But yeah, I am like a finicky money planner, so I'm always here. Talking about money planning, guys, if you haven't checked out our financial planner, the Lakshmi Planner, please do check it out. We'll leave the links below. It's a great tool. We have received so many, testimonials from people saying it's amazing, it's fun, we love it. Do buy it, do let us know if you like it, and if we get a very good response from the same, we would come up with something more exciting, more tools similar to that to help you make your financial journey easy.
Absolutely.
Coming back, Priya.
Yeah. So yeah, do check out the Lakshmi Planner, and also do check out our new Lakshmi app. We have launched an updated version where you have the community as well as the invest section all at one place, and we have some very amazing, easy to use calculators which can help you amp up your financial journey or your financial planning. And you can plan your investments and goals with the use of these calculators. You can make an investment decision, and you can have all your doubts cleared on the same platform by asking all the questions on the community on the app. So we would love to have you there on the app. Do download it, and we'll be happy to answer all your questions there also. Another question, now coming to the question we have received, is from Krupali. She's saying, if I get an instrument which gives me average to decent returns and is a fixed income instrument, hence the risk is low, should I still make an investment strategy and invest in other risky investments? So, what do you think, Chachu? What should she do?
So yeah, definitely she should, consider investing further, because like we said that you might get decent returns, you might have a fixed source of income, and you can just sleep on your investments and not care about what's going on. But the one thing that we have to highlight here is the fact that we see why we invest is to grow your money and to beat inflation. And to those who are new to this concept of inflation, it's nothing but the purchasing power of an individual, the purchasing power of the money that individual holds, and the rate at which the prices of goods and services are growing in the economy. So every in fact, every month we get it, but we take the cumulative yearly numbers. The Ministry of Finance issues inflation rate number, that this is the rate at which the inflation has increased. That is, this is the rate by which the price of good have increased. So something that you get for 100 rupees this year, the next year that same amount of good or the same service that you have levied will be charging something higher than that, because that is how the prices have increased. So you invest to ensure that your money is beating these numbers, and you are able to cope up with these changing numbers, these dynamic of the economy, and you still be able to make purchases, still be able to have that lifestyle with you. So that is one reason why we invested. If you settle on something which is just like a decent return that you're getting over the years, it won't help you, darling, it won't help you at all. You will just be after one point you'll get stagnant with your returns. You'll just feel like, oh, I should have planned it. I should have did something else. So it's important. You really do need to. In fact, Priya, I think I was having this conversation with you also today morning, that
Yeah.
how it's important for them, and how compounding actually plays an important role. And guys, Priya gave me this very very simple and a very beautiful answer to that. So Priya, why don't you address the audience with your answer?
Okay. So when we are talking about investments, we need to see that if your goal is for a long-term period, usually people invest in a fixed income instruments earlier, like we have a habit of traditional investing on into FTs or anything like that. But now with the new age investments like equity mutual funds or different type of investment instruments that we have right now, it gives us the benefit of compounding when we invest for a long term period. So it's very important, even if you're investing like small amount of money every year or on a monthly basis, when you see returns like after 10 years or 5 years, when you see the amount of money to grow, and it's like, when you see a tree, when you plant a seed and when you like watch it grow into a tree, it gives you happiness, right? It gives you the tree provides you with all the benefits in terms of fruits, it gives you a shade and everything. So just like that, your small amounts of investments can give you greater benefits in the long run, and you can see grow like you can see the money grow and fulfill your dreams and aspirations. So someone might be having a dream to buy a luxury car or have their own house. So with small amounts of investments and the power of compounding, you can achieve those goals. And one more thing which is very important here is the discipline and the patience. So when we are investing with discipline and have that patience to, you know, stay invested for a long term, it requires a lot of effort. Like, you know, when Chanchal explained about the fitness regime thing. So we need to be consistent and disciplined about our investments. If we go to the gym for like 2 3 days or for a month, we won't get that benefits. And if we continue to go to the gym for like a year, we'll see the change, you know, like how the person has transformed. So it's, I think the consistency, discipline and everything is really important here.
As you're talking about the gym, I feel so guilty. I was like, is she talking to me? Is she talking about me?
No, it wasn't focused on you, but it's just
Great.
an example that everyone can relate to, right?
Right. Great. Acha Priya, I believe we have a lot of more questions that we were sent beforehand, but we have a couple of questions in the comment section. Let's address these first and then go to them, because these are our active users who have actually taken out the time to be here with us. And so
Absolutely.
we have Rebecca, Sai Deepika, Diksha, and hi guys, it's lovely having you here. And now we're going to address your questions, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So be ready and do tell us if we have answered your question. Do give us a good feedback so we know that we're doing the right job. Great.
Correct. So first question is from Rebecca. She asked, like I read in Lakshmi community that we can invest 5% in silver. So do we have anything like SGB in silver?
No, so Rebecca, there are only two ways that you can make your investments in silver. And one is the physical silver, that is in terms of coins and bullions that you get, and the other one is through the commodities exchange. So you get your silver ETFs and silver futures and options over there. So you can invest through that. But I don't know where you read this, that you have to invest 5% in silver. That is not true, absolutely not true, because even though silver is a precious metal, it is not something that your portfolio should consist of. Again, it's one of those preferential assets that we talked about. If you want to, you can. If you don't wish to, you don't need to. Because see, gold has been a traditional investment instrument for the longest we know. You know, like before even currency was there, gold was the barter that we used to worry about. And it is a safe instrument. Every time there's any mishap in our economy, people run towards gold. Gold is considered to be the safe investment, a hedge against inflation, and it's like a god of investments to a lot of people. But silver has not attained that kind of a reputation so far. It is a precious metal. It is traded worldwide. It is a global, commodity to exchange. But it doesn't have that huge impact on someone's portfolio as gold must have. So 5% in silver, you can invest 50% in silver. Nobody's going to stop you. But then, if you're talking about the standard asset allocation strategy, where we say that 15 to 20% should be in gold, there's no percentage allocation given to silver that way.
Correct, correct. And I'd like to add a few points here. So when we are talking about investing in silver, so as Chanchal said that you can invest any amount of money, but you need to be aware of how that investment like instrument performs. So if you're investing into silver, you should know how that commodity performs in the market, what has been the performance, past performance, how is the growth aspect in terms of the analytics. You should do all the analysis before investing. Secondly, there's a recent news by SEBI which I read, and I think I shared it on the community as well. That SEBI is, proposing to. They are getting usually proposals from a lot of companies to introduce silver ETFs in India. So silver ETFs have been a very popular instrument in like globally, but in India we don't have such instruments. So they are planning to introduce silver ETFs in India probably in some time. So if you are really keen on investing in silver, you can check out that instrument, read more about it, and then can make an informed decision. So I
Great.
think, Rebecca, we have answered your question. The next question is, can you explain equity funds in a layman's language? So, yeah, go ahead, Chantal, if you're saying something.
So equity funds in the layman language. So let's break it down this way, okay? Like I think this is what Priya and I have learned so far how to break things down for our users to understand. First, what is an equity fund? It is a type of mutual fund. What are mutual funds? Mutual funds are collective schemes that are run by an AMC, which is an asset management company, which takes in the money that is pooled by investors, further invested in different instruments. Hence, by categorizing one of those segments as equity, where majority of your money is invested in, stocks and shares, a little portion in debt for safety, and a little portion as is remained as liquid money with them for redemption purposes. So equity funds are nothing but mutual fund schemes that invest in equity segments, which are further bifurcated in types of equity funds in terms of large cap, mid cap, small cap, dividend, value, and various other funds. There are, I think, about 6 to 10, I think, subtypes of equity funds. If
Yeah,
I think it's 6 or 10. I'm confused. It's 6 to 10. So these are equity funds in a layman language.
that's great. I think, Rebecca, we have answered your question. And I'd like to add one thing, that when you are investing into an equity mutual fund, there are two ways that you can invest into it. One is the way of SIP, which is like a disciplined way of investing regularly. A small, like you can a predefined amount of money you invest on a monthly basis. While the another way of investing is a lump sum investment or a one shot investment, as we usually say. That if you have a certain amount of money, a lump sum amount of money, you can invest into that in a on a into an equity mutual fund. So when you are investing through an SIP, you get the benefit of averaging, and you don't have to put in a lot of effort. It gets usually deducted from your account on a monthly basis. So whenever the salary comes in, the amount gets deducted automatically. So this way you are all saving and before making any expenses. So keep these things in mind, and I think that will help you make an investment decision. Next question is, I think we have Hazira Amin online with us. Hi, hope
Hi.
you are doing well. And if you have any questions, do ask us. We'll be happy to answer them. We have another question which says, Sai Deepika's question. It says that doesn't SIP in one good flexi cap mutual fund do the job, as the capital is proven to be positive over long term? Hence, the risk is low, yielding high returns comparably.
So
I
I think
think.
this is similar to that question that we had, like if we have something which is decent, which gives us decent returns. But again, Saidipaka, the answer remains the same to what we give there. But one thing you need to be very much aware of is that there are a lot of instruments that have a past record which are positive. If you take a blue chip company for that matter, if you take the mutual funds invested in a blue chip company, you will get a past record which is a positive trend. And I think gold, if you take for that matter, for the last 20 years, if you compare gold, it's a line like this. It just goes up. It started with what, a 4,000 rupee in 2000, and now we have a 50. It reached 52 this year, right? This year or the last year. So instruments will have a positive return, but we don't have to. See, your investment journey is not basis on the instrument. The investor journey is basis on you, because it's an investor journey, not an instrument journey. So pick what is right for you, pick what caters to your needs, and then plan out a investment decision. It's good to know that you are aware of SIPs, flexi cap, and these terms. But as much as you're aware of this, you must be also aware of the different options, and then make a informed decision accordingly.
Absolutely correct. So I'll give you a simple example about like how we have different flavors of ice cream, and one flavor might not be, preferred by everyone. So if someone likes this particular ice cream, it's not sure that whether the other person will like the same thing. So you should select what suits you the best, and I think this example will keep like be in your mind, since it's just like an example. It's a very common thing which we can relate to every time.
As an
So
audience, we'll be thinking that talking about fitness on one hand, ice cream on the other, what do these girls want from us? Yeah. Why
this
can't they just stick to one?
this just came to my mind, and I think this was an easy example through which we can explain how a financial plan is unique to an individual and not just common to everyone. So yeah, and I think we'll take up one more question and then we'll wrap up the session.
Right.
And yeah, so we have a question from Manpreet. She's saying that she recently started investing and don't really have any goals in place. She learnt about the 5 must-have goals from one of the Lakshmi sessions that our founder Preeti conducted. So in that case, should I? She wanted to ask. In that case, should I continue with goal-based asset allocation, or can I switch to an age-based asset allocation? So she wants to know how she can make that decision, how we can make it easy for her to, follow up with it.
Right. So should I start, Priya, if you don't mind? Like, I have a thought here. See, Mantri, actually a very good question, and I think these are the type of questions that should be addressed more because this is like at the beginner stage. If your questions are answered here, your further journey becomes easier comparatively. So I think Priya had emphasized a lot about this fact that you should always revisit your decisions. You should always rejig your decisions to cater to your needs. You attended our session. You got a hold of the fact that there are 5 goals, and this is the goal based investing that you should go about, and you started your journey in that way. Now, out of those, I think 5 goals, 2 goals are talking about health insurance and life insurance. So those are kept aside, and then you have your emergency fund, retirement fund, and wealth creation. So you must have firstly adhered to your emergency fund goal. Then you would have started planning your retirement goal, and then you come to the main goal, that is the wealth creation. Now, this wealth creation is where exactly your entire asset allocation strategy comes into place individually. These 2 goals have an asset allocation strategy individually. So when you look at it from an overall perspective, you're doing a goal based investing, but within the wealth creation, now you have to take a call if you want to go about as with an asset allocation strategy as per goal or as per your age. So firstly, you haven't yet started, so congratulations, you asked your question at the right time. Now you can decide how you want to go about it. Secondly, even if you today decide that I would like to stick to a goal based approach, and once you monitor your goals twice or thrice in the future, and you feel that this is not working for me, or not the best way, or maybe I can plan it out in another way and make the most out of it, please do not hesitate to always rejig your investment, because we cannot emphasize it enough that it's your personal journey, it's your needs that your investments are catering to. So if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel that they are catering to your needs, what's the whole point of doing this exercise? It's like doing it for someone else, and that is not the case here. So you are actually open to experiments, and doesn't matter if you do it today, you do it tomorrow. Every day is a new day. You just have to decide for yourself.
Correct. Absolutely right. And what you can do, Manpreet, is you can chart out all your goals based on the time horizon. You can divide your goals as to ultra short term, and long term goals, and accordingly can make an investment decision. So I think that will help you a lot in your financial journey. And one more thing, before we wind up the session, I'd like to address that we have covered almost all the topics of asset allocation. If you still have questions, you can ask us in the comment section below, or and you can ask us on directly on the app, where we will be answering your questions directly there. So do download the app. Check out it's a new app. Check out all the features. We have different types of calculators, invest section, the community there. Interact. It's a very engaging and interactive community. So I think you will learn from the experts as well as from the peers that are available. That we call it as a Lakshmi squad. So you can learn from them and evolve in your financial journeys. And
Priya, in fact, before we wind up, I actually
yeah,
just got one question. It's from
okay.
Radha, who's saying that I'm a mom of a 16-year-old. I have
Hmm.
my personal goals and goals for my child. How should I plan my asset allocation strategy? I think since we got it during the live, it would be better if we address it.
Okay.
And I think it's actually good because we have a lot of mommies on our group, and a lot of people would benefit from this question too. So, any thoughts?
Yeah, so if you're a mom of like having a kid of 16-year-old, you must be having a lot of things planned, right? You have to plan for their education, further plans like either they want to have for go for an undergrad course or a master's degree, or plan for their marriage or any other goals that you must be having, and the child also might be having the different goals. So you can plan your investments. You can sit together, discuss what all things you want to achieve and what all goals do you have. And if your goals are overlapping, like if both of them have the same goals, you can have a same asset allocation strategy. And if the goals differ, you can plan accordingly as per your goals and can rejig your investments and everything on a regular basis. And Chanchal, if you have some thoughts, you can share it with us.
Yeah, so I actually have this thought that if suppose like the example that you just gave, for example, if you're planning for your child's education, right, and like you mentioned, your child is already 16, so he might have a goal of graduating or post graduating and pursuing further education, and it might happen that even you want to support your child's future, and even your child might, by the time he reaches that stage, he wants to support his education himself. So it might happen that your goals are overlapping, and in this case you should ensure that your strategy is flexible, because like when you're having overlapping goals, might happen that the whole responsibility comes on your shoulders, or it goes as it's planned, or you are not even there's a point where you might not have to bother about it because it's being taken care of. So there are endless possibilities to your situation. So be flexible about it. Don't just restrict your investment decisions to something that will actually hamper your growth. For example, if if you have this money that you have invested in a 3-year FD, considering that in the next 3 years you need that money. Now, when you'll receive that money, you are and now you don't need it because your son or your daughter has taken care of this money. So now you are left with some money which did not fetch that great returns. At the same time, you have to pay taxes on the returns every year for the interest you have paid. Whereas if you would have invested in a debt instrument rather, even if your child would have said that hey mom, that I don't need your money now because I've taken care of it, you could have continued your investment until you sell it. You're not liable to any taxes, and you can even have this option of switching from a debt to an equity fund, knowing that now you don't need that money, so you can go ahead with the same investment. So keep your options flexible, and in case of overlapping goals, always try to prepare a strategy, keeping in mind all the possibilities that can turn up. So yeah, I think that is what I thought would be important to highlight.
Absolutely. And here we have like as we discussed asset allocation as per age. So as we can add something here also, like as the age increases, the person can transfer from equity to debt. Like the age increases, the risk taking ability also decreases. So they can transfer some amount of money as per their risk appetite and as per the age to the from equity to a debt instrument, so that they are securing their portfolio as per the increasing age. So I think that will also help here. And we have covered a lot on asset allocation. I think we spoke for an
Yeah,
hour.
I just
So
saw we have exceeded our money hour. But I'm
Yeah.
happy to be there. In fact, we got a lot of views, we got a lot of comments, and it's great to see people are still engaging. And
Yeah.
thank you everyone who joined us today. It really makes us happy that you decide to give some time of your precious time to us, to learn with us, to interact with us. It also makes our day knowing we had a good audience and you guys are lovely. Please take care. Please be safe. Stay at home. Wear your mask if you're going out. And any money related question, Priya is there. I'm here. Our Being Lakshmi group is there, which we already talked about. If you're new to the group, you can always connect with us through the Lakshmi page itself. And please give us your feedback if you like our session, if you want any more topics to get covered. And it'd be a great booster for all of us here, and it's great to be here with you guys. Thank you. Over to you,
Thank you
Priya.
so much. And stay tuned with us for the next week and for the upcoming sessions. Every Wednesday at 4 p.m., we'll be here and we have something really excited planned for you for the coming month. So stay tuned for us with us. Okay. Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you all. Bye
Bye.
bye.